Oh, what's that? What's that? I mean, that's like what?
Hey, how come there's no camera? Oh, no, we want the camera. This whole point is. Oh, there he is.
Okay.
Hold on, let me tone down the light a bit. There we go.
Okay.
It's a little bit more.
Okay. Hello, MM.
All right. It looks like that there's actually sound this time.
Okay.
But I want to turn this on. Just in case.
Man, you're super ready. You're like
I have
MacGyver.
backup.
Wow.
Because I was so traumatized from losing that audio from before. Check.
You didn't check last time?
Well, there's no time. I just hit play.
Well, and it's a super, whatever you call it. Look at that.
It's a Tascam DR05.
Oh, that didn't exist when I was growing up. Okay, let's pray. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death.
Saint Joseph,
Pray for us.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, today we will begin to reflect on the act. And it is a hard reflection because it requires a lot of my intelligence to be able to grasp the act from the point of view of being, of existence. But we shall try anyway. And that's why I gave you the handout on the finality, because as we shall see, we will discover the act as the final cause. We will get there when the time comes. But that's just so that you can have begin to have an idea of the finality at the other levels of philosophy, ethics, especially ethics. But also, there is something of it in work. Not really the finality, but there is already something of a final cause. Also, on level of the becoming, etc. If you remember, I don't know if we saw it, but among the attributes of the substance, action is one of the attributes. You have the quality or quantity of relation. You have precision. You have possession, time, place. But there is an attribute that captures our mind in a particular way: action. A substance like us performs actions. Like now I am talking, I'm thinking, both of you are looking, you are listening. The reality performs actions. But the substance by itself is not capable of explaining actions from the point of view of existence. And that is what captures our intelligence. The substance, as we have been seeing, can give an account of the existence of the accidents, like the attributes. They depend on the substance to exist, and our unity, our oneness. But when it comes to actions, we see that something else is required. The substance does not suffice. And so begins a whole reflection on being, but from another perspective. So that is what we shall do today. We'll go fast though, because I really want to see the person, the different dimensions of the person before December. So that in December we can just have take it easy. Christmas. Okay. You will notice that in human actions, you always perceive the capacity, the ability for something, and the action of that capacity. For example, if I close my eyes, I have the capacity to see. When I open my eyes, I am seeing. So we perceive two different states, two different realities, in fact. The capacity to see and the act of seeing. That's easy to grasp more or less. And we perceive that the capacity to see is foreseeing. I have the capacity to see, and that capacity is in view of seeing. Same for all the other senses. I have the capacity to hear, and I am hearing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same reality. The capacity to hear and hearing are two distinct realities. And one is ordered to the other. But you see that those two realities, because both are realities, the capacity to hear is a reality and hearing is a reality. Those two realities, they go together, but they are different. One is in view of the other. When I close my eyes, then I have an experience of the capacity to see. When I open my eyes and I am seeing, that does not mean that the capacity to see does not exist. It is still there. But I am seeing. I have passed from the capacity to the act of. Same for the other senses. Same for I can walk and I am walking. And my capacity to walk is in view of walking or motor movement. Same, I sleep and I am awake. I sleep in view of being awake, not the other way around. To be awake is not in view of sleeping, but we sleep in order to regain our strength, redo ourselves in view of being awake and doing what we have to do when we are awake. So you see, always when it comes to life, we see two things, the capacity and the act. Also in the physical world, we notice that. For example, water has the power, the capacity to become hot. And then you put it on the stove and it becomes hot. It's still water. It's still the same water. But it passed from being cold or having the capacity to be hot to being right now actually hot. But it's still the same water. Same for my faculty to see. It's still the same faculty, but it is the same faculty when it's in a state of capacity, and it is the same faculty when it is seeing. But here I am not so much focused on the faculty, my sense of sight, but on the capacity and its act. The act of the faculty. Same. Water has a capacity to become hot, and it becomes hot. It is right now actually hot. So you see three different things there. The reality, like the faculty or the water, the capacity, and when the act. The act. Okay, you follow?
Using the faculty.
Yeah, for example, I have my faculty to see. That faculty has the capacity to see and sight itself. And you find it like in water also. There is a water capacity to be hot, and then when it is right now actually hot. So we have the subject, its capacity, and its act.
So the faculty is like the eye.
Like the eye, yeah, exactly. The eye, whatever, the five senses, or my capacity or my faculty to walk. That's why I told you the last time, it's not because somebody who is mentally handicapped, it's not because he cannot use his intelligence. Let's say he's really super mentally handicapped, like big time. It's not because he cannot use his intelligence that he doesn't have one. It's there. Simply that faculty cannot jump into act. It remains in a state of a capacity to, because of whatever is going on in the brain, or whatever is not going on in the brain. It cannot think, but it's there. It's there. It exists. It exists. And the same goes, for example, in work, human work, or in art. You have in your mind the project that you want to achieve, and then you go into action and you achieve it. You want to build a house, so you have that project in your mind, and then you begin the actual work and you build the house. So one is in view of the other. Notice that appears all the time, the in view of, for the sake of. That's very important. We'll come back to it later, but that you have to grasp. That's very, very important. Especially when we will reflect on my capacity to exist and my existence. My capacity to exist and my existence. Because you have not always existed. You began existing when you were born, or when you were conceived. So you have not always existed. So you keep in you, even though it is at a level that is way beyond your experience. You carry in you your capacity to exist. And for that reason, you carry also in you your capacity to not exist. For nothingness, not to exist. You carry both in you. But as a matter of fact, you exist. So the act is there. But you carry in you the capacity not to exist. Because you carry the capacity to exist. It is there. Metaphysically, It is part of you. That will never happen because God is good, but it doesn't mean that you don't carry it in you. That metaphysical anguish can sometimes come into play in our psychology. Okay, you follow so far? Questions? You guys are okay?
Why do we have the capacity?
Because you exist now, and you have not always existed.
This is the capacity
For nothingness.
but to not see, and the capacity to not walk.
Yeah,
Okay.
the capacity not to see. For example, if one day you go blind, you will not see. But the capacity is there. But when it comes to being, it's more radical because in this case, you have the capacity, the faculties there when it comes to my senses. Even though I cannot see, my faculty remains. It's just not usable because my eyeball is defective. But when it comes to existence there, it's more radical there. It's not the same thing. I see your point, but it's not the same thing. When it comes to existence, if I don't exist, then I really do not exist. Not even.
What is the faculty of existence?
There is no faculty for existence. There is no faculty. But we'll get to that. I'm just getting ahead of myself just so that you can see where I am going when I first begin with my capacity to see and etc. Just so they can see where I'm going, because we will have to reach that point. The act of existence. Existence is an act. And therefore, if there is the act, there is the capacity. I think the technical word you will hear most of the time is the potency. Potency. I use the capacity. Same thing. Okay. You will notice though, that when it comes to our faculties, like to see our senses, or when it comes to the physical world, the act is imminent. Okay. Let me explain. Because only in friendship or in the search for truth does transcendence really appears. Let me give you some examples so that you can follow, and then I'll explain. Let's say a tree. A seed is in view of the tree. And it's you know that in philosophy, it's the perfect that makes you understand the imperfect. So the seed is the imperfect. Why do we call it imperfect? Because it is in view of the mature tree. That is when the seed, when the tree reaches its natural growth, then yeah, that's when it stops. The seed has reached its fullness, let's say. But you notice that in that example, there is no beyond the tree. There is no beyond the seed. The seed developed into a tree, but it remains part or of the tree, imminent to the tree. There is no transcendence. or when water becomes hot. When water becomes hot, so the water did not have heat, but we put it on the stove, and so the fire has communicated, transmitted heat to the water, and so now there is heat in the water. The water is hot. But there too, there is no beyond the water. The heat is in the water, or intrinsic, or part of the water. But when it comes to, let's say, friendship, there is a beyond me, because my friend is not me. So there is transcendence. There is a going beyond myself. Well, when it comes to my faculties, there is not really a going beyond myself, even though with the senses there begins to appear something like that. Because, for example, when I see the cup, that's not me. It's beyond me. So already with the senses, there is something, but when it comes to friendship, then it really appears in full light, this aspect of transcendence, and therefore the aspect of finality. Do not confuse finality and a goal, even though they're very similar. Very similar. But that's not our class. That will appear more in ethics notes, which is not our thing today. Or doing metaphysics. But just to let you keep that, you can keep that in mind. Do not confuse finality with a goal. A goal, once you reach it, you have reached it. You have achieved your goal. My goal is to finish, get a degree. And so once you finish your studies and you got your degree, that's it. You reached the goal, and then you move on to another goal or whatever. With a finality, it's not that way. Now, let's, for example, analyze the sense of sight. Because sight is a reality that exists. It's a very, very particular, and not just sight, but all these other realities that I gave examples of. They are activities, to call them that, activities or acts, actions, whatever. If you notice, in the sense of sight, you see because the object of your sight is in you. Get that one? Okay. Because the only way I can see is if the object of my sight, like that cup, intentionally, that's the philosophical, technical word, intentionally. Why intentionally? Because not substantially, the cup itself is not substantially my eye, doesn't fit. But nevertheless, the cup itself is in my eye, and if I close my eyes, I can even imagine the cup. I can make myself so that means that the cup itself intentionally triggers my sense of sight. So, and that is what sight is. It is that cup in my faculty to see. Same, let's say, for the water, to take a physical reality. It is the heat in the water that makes us say the water is hot. So it is the heat that causes the water to be hot. It is because the heat is in the water that the water is hot. It is because that cup is in my eye that I am right now seeing. Because right now that cup is in my eye. And same for all the other senses. Can we apply that to existence? Can I say, for example, it's because something is in me that I exist? If you notice in when it comes to seeing, it's an external reality, the cup that makes me see. Or when it comes to water becoming hot, it's the fire external to water that transmitted heat to the fire, to the water, and that made the water hot. But when it comes to existence, can I say that? In us, or let me put it this way, how can I say I have the capacity to exist? How can I say that I have the capacity to exist? Because until now we have been noticing that all realities, when we look at it from the point of view of capacity and act, that all realities have that capacity for and the act of. Capacity for and the act of. And as I said, the substance cannot account for the act of. That's why we have to look for another cause of being. Substance, in our case, our soul, is not enough. Does not suffice to account for our existence. That's why we have two causes of our existence. The soul being one of the soul as substance being one of them, but I said it's not enough because the substance cannot fully respond to the activity of something. Obviously, existence is not an activity. It is, we call it an act. When we say this is, that is, that is the act. The act. So it's not an action, but it is an act. And there has to be, therefore, if there is an act, a capacity for that act. Let me go back. Let me try to clarify that, precise that some more. Why do I say that I have the capacity to exist? Because I exist. When it comes to seeing, it's easy because I close my eyes. And I know that I can open my eyes So I know that when I close my eyes, I can see. And then I open, I am seeing. So I know that I have the capacity to see. Same for physical reality, like water. I know that it has a capacity to come hot because I can freeze the water. And then I can heat the water. So I know when the water is super cold, nevertheless, it contains in itself the capacity to be hot. You know, we can heat it up as many times as we want and cool it as many times as we want. But in our, when it comes to being, to existence, we don't have the experience of the capacity to exist. Because we exist. So how can I say that I carry in me, how can I say that my existence is an act? How can I say that the is or the am in I am or the is in this is? How can I say that the is act, an act? Because for it to be act, then there has to be a capacity, potency, just like for all the other ones, all the other examples that I gave you, because they go together. One is in view of the other. And for it is the act that gives meaning to the capacity, not the other way around. It is the act that gives sense to the capacity. Just like it's the finality that gives sense to our life. My human finality is what gives meaning to my life. And that is act too. So how can I say that I bear in me the capacity to exist? By the fact that I have not always existed. None of us existed 1,000 years ago. But there was reality 1,000 years ago. There was a planet, there were people, civilization. But we were not there because we did not exist. We did not exist 1,000 years ago. We began to exist at a moment in time. We were conceived. Or a little bit after, or whenever. Let's just say we were conceived. We began to exist. If I began to exist, that means that I carry in myself the capacity to exist. But unlike my capacity to see, because that one, if I close my eyes, yeah, I know it's there. I am experiencing it, put it that way. Unlike my capacity to see or to move or to think, this capacity to exist, I cannot experience it. But intellectually, I can affirm that it is there. Why? Because I exist right now, and I have not always existed. Even though I will never be in that state of I will never be in the state of being able to exist, because I exist, and I will always exist. From now on, I will always exist. From the moment I was conceived, for all eternity, I will forever exist. But I have to grasp intellectually this capacity to exist so that I can grasp existence that is in this this is, or I am, the am, existence, as an act, as the act of being. Because if I don't grasp the capacity to exist, then I cannot intellectually grasp that is existence as an act, as the act of being. Now, when to die is not the same thing as to stop existing. Die is for the soul and the body to separate, but it's not the same thing as to stop existing. It means that I stop living in this world, but I don't stop existing. But I know there has to be a capacity to exist in me, because I have not always existed, and I exist right now. You all, not that I'm not going to ask you to grasp it, but at least you understand the reasoning, the steps, the process. Afterwards, you have to on your own think about it and meditate on it a long time, reflect on it on your own. But just so that you see the steps, the process of where my intelligence is confronted with this. I exist. I have not always existed. I could have not existed. My existence is not necessary. You could have not existed.
What does it mean, Father, if existence is not an act of being? So what does that imply?
If existence
is not an act.
It is an act. It is the act.
But what if we say that it is not an act? So how would that
what would that change, or what difference would that make if I do not grasp it as the act of being? That means that I will not grasp what is ultimate in being. And if I push it even further, which is not what we will do, my intelligence could not climb, ascend to the existence of God. Because it is on that it will hinge, on the act. For example, you have heard or you have read, God is pure act. What does that mean? God is pure act. This is, if you take away the this, for God there is no this, there is no this, just this. God is and is. God is act, pure act. There is no this in God. For you are, there is the you and the are. I am, there is the I and the am. There is the this is, there is the this and the is. But in God, there is not the two. That's why we say God is pure act. So even later on, it will come to play. The fact that my intelligence has to be able to grasp my is or your is as act. In time. Right now, just it's the first day so that we can become familiar with the words and the process and the challenge that awaits our intelligence. But all that, that's why I began giving you the other examples first, so that you can see that all realities can be looked from this point of view, capacity and act. All realities can be looked from this point of view, capacity and act. Which is different from accident substance. Accident substance is one perspective, and that allowed us to discover the soul as substance, source of the existence of the accidents, source of my unity. But here it's another perspective, it's capacity and act. Now, the main question will be, what sets the reality in act? If there is capacity and act, what is the cause of the act? That's the question. What is the cause of the act? It cannot be the capacity, because the capacity is in view of the act. What is the cause of the act? That's the question. When it comes, for example, to seeing that cup, the cup is the cause of my act. My sight. No, sight is an act. That cup is the cause of my sight. If I love somebody, love my friend, my mom, or whatever, if I love another person, that person is the cause of my loving. Loving is the act. I have the capacity to love, and then I am right now loving. But this person is the cause of my love, the activity of loving right now. When it comes to life, to ethics, or for example, we were saying like the water, no? It's the fire that is transmitting heat to the water that is the cause of the water being hot. It is the fire that is communicating heat. Now the heat is in the water, and so the water is hot. It comes from the fire. When it comes to the is, what is the cause? Because is an act. Existence is act. So what is the cause of that act? It's different. Well, when it comes to sight, what is the cause of my seeing? It's the cup. Because the cup is inside my eye. Now. And it's also light, because light allows me to see, but it's really more the cup than light. Light just serves has the function of allowing for the object to come into me. Light is a vehicle by which that object, the cup, comes into my eye. But the object is really the cup, my sight, and it is that object that sets my sight in act. When it comes to existence, what is the cause? So we're not talking about God yet, no. We're not on that. We're not there yet. We're just at an earthly level, still. But before we reach that point, we have to grasp our capacity to exist. My capacity to exist. My existence is not necessary. I could have not existed. I could have not existed. If I could have not existed, that means that I bury myself the capacity to exist. Okay, we'll stop there and I'll let you think about it. Okay. But that one is essential because we cannot grasp the act if we don't also grasp the capacity for the act. And therefore, I cannot grasp the cost of the act. So it goes the capacity to exist. Once again, it's not an experience. It's just in the intelligence can affirm I do bear in me at my inmost metaphysical level the capacity not to exist because I could have not existed. And I have not always existed, both. I have not always existed and I could have not existed. Okay?
Those are the two reasons why I can say that
I have the capacity
to exist.
Those are two reasons.
It's happened before.
No, what?
Pretty much because it's happened before. That it didn't exist. But it can't happen again.
It's the possibilities there. I could.
Yeah. But we just know that it won't.
It won't happen because obviously I'm a Christian. I know that it will always exist because God is good, and He will never stop. And He will never, even if I go to hell, I will always exist. But I know that I carry it in me. That's why I depend on jumping to a theology. That's why I know that I depend on God to exist. If I exist, that's why, if ever you're asking yourself, if ever you're doubting, does God love me? All you need to do is say, yeah, I exist, therefore God loves me. Because if ever God stops loving me, I will simply stop existing. I will drop into nothingness. And therefore, I cannot doubt that God loves me because I exist. My existence is evidence that God still loves me.
The capacity, Father, it also has a cost.
The act.
Yeah.
And that's very important because, and that changes the way we can grasp cause and effect. Because most of the time, because of our education, we are used to grasping costs, the efficient costs. I'm moving my, or like the fire transmitting heat to the water, the efficient cost. But here we have to grasp cause and effect in a totally different way. The act is source of the capacity. Why? Because the capacity exists in view of the act. And so the in view is the final cause of things. But that's to grasp it as a cause. That's where our intelligence is a little bit of trouble. Like I said, because we're used to grasping cause and effect, like me pushing something. So I am the cause of that thing moving. Or we switch on turn on the light, and so it's the cause of like this light, this room. But here it's another. That's why you have that because with human love, you see that cause and effect works in a different way. When I grasp that it is the other person that is the cause of my love. At the same time, it is my will, because my love flows from my will, my spiritual heart. But at the same time, it is also the other person that is source of my love for that person. That is where our intelligence begins to see that, oh yeah, there is such a thing as a final cause. But the way it functions is different from the other causes. But nevertheless, that is the ultimate cause. The other causes are at the service of the final cause. The final cause uses the other causes like the efficient cause for it, so that it can exercise its causality. Okay. Anyway, don't worry. We'll go over it again. It's just the first day today. Okay. We pray. O Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. All right.
It get recorded.
I don't know. I mean, probably.